Hello everyone and welcome to another track guide. Formula Vee going around Oulton Park, the international layout. Here for the race, draft is going to be king. Let's get into it. For turn 1 you want to be all the way on the left in qualifying, but this is a place where people want to try and overtake you. You don't have to brake for this corner, you only have to lift off the throttle. Once I get past the banner on the left, then I will turn in. Once I turn in, I will lift off the throttle to about 20%. The apex is in the later third of the corner. Once at the apex you want to take a lot of curb, but don't take too much as there is a little bump. Once you get to the curb you want to go full throttle again and let the car steer out. You can take a lot of this AstroTurf here on the left without getting a 1x. For turn 2 we don't have to brake at all. Once again we just have to lift off the throttle to help the car turn in. Once we get down this little hill here, I lift off the throttle to about 20% once again. I take a lot of curb for this one, and my apex is by a green sign on the inside wall. Once I get to that sign, I will go full throttle again. If you get onto the curb too early here, then the car will bounce around quite a lot and you will miss the apex. And then you will get a 1x out here, because if you put one set of tires out, you will get a 1x. Draft is going to be a lot on this straight. Keep that in mind when you get to turn 4, because there might be someone on your inside. Turn 4 is full throttle, and I turn in by the curb here on the right, and I aim to get as close to the curb on the inside as I can. At the end of the curb there is a little bump that will unsettle the car a tiny bit. Your aim is to come out in the middle of the road, you can get over to the left. For turn 5 here, my braking marker is the tire wall here on the right. Once I lose sight of that, I'll brake. I'll brake to about 80% brake pressure and ease off the brake all the way to the curb. We have a lot of camber, so we can carry much more speed than we think here. Once I get to the curb, I will let the car ride a little bit before we in the middle of the corner go full throttle again. And we can be aggressive with this because of the camber. And of course just let the car walk out to the curb here on the left. Turn 7, 8 and 9 is one of the places where you will gain a lot of time when you get this right. But it is also very difficult. We do have to brake here, and my braking marker is this guard tower here on the left. Again, my peak brake pressure is about 80%, and I'll ease off the brake all the way to the first curb. We do have to take a bit of curb on both, but if you take too much on the left one, it will unsettle the car and spin you around, and so with the second one. I take a lot of curb for turn 7 to open up turn 8, just enough so it doesn't unsettle the car. As soon as I'm off the curb, I'll turn in for turn 8. Just before the curb of turn 8, you will go full throttle. When getting this right, you will stay within the white lines on the left for turn 9, and gain a lot of time going down towards turn 10 and 11. 10 and 11 is a prime overtaking spot. It's also very dangerous because if you hit the tire wall, it will rip off the wheel of your car. But for quali, you want to be all the way on the left. I use this 50 board as my braking marker. I go hard on the brake to about 90% brake pressure, and I ease off the brake onto the first tire wall. Here you need to cut as much curb as you dare without hitting the wall. Once past the wall, you should go on the throttle again, just for a tiny bit, before getting off the throttle again to let the car rotate. Again, take the curb and get out to the middle of the road, before getting all the way over to the left, and at this moment you should be full throttle. Here you can either lift a little bit to not run as wide, or keep full throttle and understeer a little bit. If you keep full throttle, you should use all of the curb on the outside, and of course you need to take all of the curb on the inside. You can only put half of the car on the outside curb before getting a 1x. Turn 15 is the next point where we have to do anything, but drafting is really going to help your competitors here. So keep that in mind when going around. Yes, turn 15 is a good overtaking spot, and if you know who you race and they race well, you can defend here really nicely as well. But for 15 we don't have to brake at all. I turn in here by the change in the pavement color. Once I turn in, I will lift off the throttle to about 40% to help the car rotate. This is a double apex corner, and you want to apex in the middle of each curb. I lift off the throttle all the way to the first curb. Once I'm past that, I will go on the throttle again. When getting this right, the car should easily get back to the second curb without going off the throttle again. Going down to the last corner, again draft will be quite heavy here, and people will get alongside you. Keep that in mind when racing. But for quali, I'll be on the way on the left. I'll use this last tree before the guard tower as my braking marker. And I'll brake to about 95% and trail the brake all the way to the curb. There's a little dip in the road. This is where you want to apex. It's just before the emergency road on the right. Once you get to that little emergency road, you'll be going on the throttle again. If you get this right, you will stay within the track limits and not go on the grass. You will be going onto the curb on the outside though, as the track is falling away from you. Now take the shortest line to the finish line, and if you're racing, keep that draft in mind once again. And that's my track guide for Oulton Park for the Formula Vee for a time of 1:58.3. I hope this guide has helped you. If it has, leave a like down below, consider subscribing as well, and now for the uninterrupted hot laps.